can you imagine if the United States asked and the UK said no, the knock-on effects, diplomatic, mostly economic?
Let's hear now from Tim Marshall, foreign correspondent and author of Prisoners of Geography, who's on the line now. Good evening, Tim.
Hello.
You tweeted about the British embassy closing in Iran, the UK temporarily withdrawing its staff from the country. What do you read into that move?
Two things. Well, they're both related, and that is they're taking precautions, and I think it's quite sensible. There is the chance that if things escalate, the British embassy could be hit by an Israeli bomb by mistake, or an American bomb, indeed, if things escalated. But I think it's more that if things escalate, especially if the UK got involved, even if it's only by saying yes to an American request that Diego Garcia could be used to launch American planes, then the British embassy would be under threat from attack by mobs. It happened in 2011 during a crisis when the mobs scaled the walls and trashed the embassy. There are numerous embassies have been attacked in Tehran over the past 20 years. The Saudi Arabian one was actually set on fire a few years ago. So I think it's a combination of those two potentials.
And, you talk there about the UK allowing the US to use Diego Garcia, the military base, if military action was to happen. I mean, clearly there are serious concerns within the government about the legalities of that, raises the spectre of, an illegal war and Britain supporting an illegal war, as of course happened in Iraq. What do you make of those echoes from history, recent history?
There are echoes, aren't there? And front and centre in this will be the Attorney General and his opinion. And it appears that he is rather reluctant to think that the UK should allow it. I suspect that even if it is that case, there could be a fudge of words, because can you imagine if the United States asked and the UK said no, the knock-on effects, diplomatic, mostly economic, various trade deals that have just been done and picked up off the floor at the G7, all that would be put in jeopardy. So whilst I think the UK is very, very keen not to become directly involved militarily, the pressure to give access for planes to take off from Diego Garcia would be immense.
And then in that supportive role, as you say, the UK would potentially become a target for any kind of Iranian retaliation. There's a lot of talk about Iran's depleted capabilities, but actually this is asymmetric warfare, isn't it? And they could do a lot of damage by, as you say, targeting embassies, bases, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, isn't it? Because there's two missiles. Well, there's three. There's the short range, the medium range, and the long range. Now, Iran is burning through its supply of long range missiles, the vast majority of which do not get through. I think there's been about 23 impacts in urban areas in Israel out of some above 400 fired. But you're right, if it came to, and this is the same dilemma the Americans have, they have bases all over the Middle East. The UK does have much fewer, but they are within range of not of the long, well, they're in range of the long range ones, but they're also in range of the short range missiles, which Iran has yet to use. And so consequently, that would put US service personnel and interests very much in harm's way. I mean, we're not there yet. It is why the Europeans are meeting with the Iranians in Geneva today to try to set out a path for a negotiated settlement. I think we're a couple of days at least from that, though.
I mean, it does sound from what you're saying that you believe there's a sense that we're sort of hurtling inexorably towards a new US-backed war in the Middle East. Antonio Guterres warning about just such an eventuality. Is that your feeling, or do you think that this can be de-escalated?
I wouldn't say we're hurtling towards it. I'd say they're advancing towards it. I mean, President Trump's language. Well, it wasn't him that said it, but when Caroline Leavitt, the White House spokeswoman, came out last night and said that President Trump will decide within 2 weeks on US military action, that within, define that. I mean, it could be in 5 minutes' time, or it could be in 13 days' time. And I think that is very deliberate. It's calibrated uncertainty. So like I said, I don't think we're hurtling towards this, because unpack that word within. If it was another 13 days, that gives Israel a hell of a lot of time. And I think it only needs about another week before it starts to rearrange the rubble, to use the phrase, where basically you bombed everything you can, but to make a good show, you go back and bomb it again. So that window gives them easily enough time to finish as far as they can finish. It also allows for the Iranians feeling so much pain that they will actually try to compromise, and then everybody gets out of this crisis. So the word within allows a whole bunch of scenarios. I do think that if it comes to it, I think the Americans will act. But that's why people are trying to find a way out of it. See, at the moment, the Iranian position is we will only negotiate if Israel stops. Well, that's not going to happen. Israel says we will only stop if you agree to give up your nuclear program. And at the moment, that's not going to happen. So they have to find the way of bringing those two things together. I'm not that impressed with I don't mean impressed, I mean, I don't think it's that important, this meeting today with the Europeans, because Aragachi, the Iranian foreign minister, it is widely reported in the American serious media that he's had several phone calls already this week with Steve Witkoff, Trump's advisor. So, but what it might be is the theatre that, oh yes, the Europeans and the Iranians are finding this pathway, and then the Americans can come in and do the negotiated deal. But behind the scenes, if there's a deal to be done, it'll be done between those two.
And just briefly, there's a lot of talk about regime change. Some in the Israeli government seem to want regime change, some don't. Trump says he doesn't. Is there any sense from within Iran, very difficult to get news out of Iran, of course, but is there any sense of mounting dissent against the regime, or the contrary, that this Israel launching this war against Iran has made people rally around the regime?
You're right. It is very, very hard, but trying to pick up what you can from, and let's be facing this distance, it's social media, and also one or two of the diplomats that you may or may not speak to, and some Iranian opposition groups that I sometimes speak to. I'd say no. I don't see regime change on the cards in the near future, but what has happened in the last 7 days now is that the Iranian regime has been shown to be so weak, not particularly strategically clever, and has taken a massive pounding. I've written a piece that if you look stupid and weak, it's a terrible combination, and therefore, in the medium to long term, the regime is weakened.
Yeah.
But liberal democracy breaking out? No.
Yeah.
Regime change? A form of, perhaps in the longer term.